Thanks for stopping by and seeing what I'm up to. My name is Silky Feather, and you can call me Silky. We are here at Silky Feather's Nest, continuing on with Unfuck Your Habitat. You Are Better Than Your Mess by Rachel Hoffman and read by Emily Wu Zeller. Here we go. Chapter 8, Part 13.
Cleaning basics. One of the most common reasons people don't clean, coming in a close second after "I don't wanna," is that they don't really know how. There's no small amount of judgment and assumptions associated with people who don't or can't clean. And yes, sometimes it's because someone is lazy or inconsiderate, but those are far from the only reasons someone might not be a great, or good, or even adequate housekeeper. Sure, cleaning isn't exactly rocket science, but if you never learned how, it can be intimidating as hell, and that's an obstacle to getting started. Not to mention that the longer you go without knowing how to clean, the harder it becomes to obtain those skills. But note that I said harder, not impossible. Learning how to clean as an adult is just like learning how to drive a stick shift or communicate in another language. It takes lots of practice, lots of trial and error, and a desire to learn. There's a plethora of reasons people may not have the skills needed to clean a house, and the environment you're raised in can be one of the biggest contributing factors. Those who grew up in homes where they never learned to clean start out at a disadvantage without those fundamental housekeeping skills. Those who grew up in homes where everything was done for them are also not in a great position. If you come from one of these environments, don't despair. It's not too late. Fortunately, we live in a time when instructions for just about anything are free and readily available. If you don't know how to do something, it's really easy to find out how. There's an awful lot of really specialized cleaning knowledge to be had out there. But, as in anything, some basics will go a long way toward giving you a solid foundation. Once you have a grasp of some of the fundamental tasks that need to get done, it's fairly straightforward to apply that knowledge to other things you might not have experience with. So if you live in a messy home because you're not quite sure how to keep it from getting or staying that way, there is absolutely hope for you. Don't be ashamed if you don't know this stuff. It's just some skills and knowledge that you haven't acquired yet. There's always more time to learn. What you need and what you don't. First things first, make sure you're well equipped with the supplies you need to clean. One of the biggest lies sold to you by the cleaning and housekeeping industry is that you need specially designed equipment and products for every task. That's a load of bullshit. Don't fall for it. You don't need expensive or specialized stuff to keep your house clean. You really only need a few very basic things, most of which you might have on hand already. Anyone who recommends a must-have product as the only way to accomplish something probably benefits in some way from you buying it. There are some specialized supplies that may make cleaning certain things easier, but they aren't necessary, regardless of what the ads tell you. At a bare minimum, I could keep a house UFYH approved clean with just water, white vinegar, dish soap, some rags or cloths, and a broom. And laundry detergent, because while you certainly can make your own, that's kind of a huge pain in the ass, and the pre-made stuff already exists and can be found pretty cheap. Vacuums are great for carpet, but in a pinch, you can absolutely sweep a rug. Just ask my Nana. Insisting on your need for the right tools and products is just another way to put off getting started. It's another excuse to keep yourself from jumping in and doing the best you can with what you have. Make no mistake, you can get a lot, maybe even everything done using only what you already have or with a few easily and cheaply obtained basics. Don't postpone getting to it any more than you already have by deciding you need to go out, go to the store, stand in the cleaning aisle staring at hundreds of different choices, pick out some stuff, spend a ton of money you don't want to part with, and then go back home, organize it all, and then never actually clean anything because you've already done way too much and you're exhausted. That's a pretty tough trap to get out of. My favorite all-purpose cleaning solution is half hot water, half vinegar, and a glug of dish soap. That's the technical term, mixed up in a spray bottle. Showers, counters, stovetops, toilets, you name it, you can clean it with this, or with one of its components. A combination of time, let the cleaning solution or hot water do the bulk of the work for you by letting it sit for a bit, and a little elbow grease when needed can accomplish just about any cleaning task. If you're looking for another multi-purpose tool that's a little bit more of an investment, consider a steam mop. You can do all of your hard floors with it, and never need anything besides water to use it. Add to that some rags for dusting and wiping down, a broom, a vacuum, if you have carpets, and some laundry detergent, and you're pretty much good to go right away. You don't need a million things, and you don't need to spend a lot of money. With your small but effective arsenal of tools and basics, you're well armed to tackle all the dirt and debris that comes along with living your life. Oh, I can hear what comes next. But bleach! Most people are absolutely 100% convinced that you cannot clean a house without bleach. I disagree. I think that bleach is generally overused and almost always underdiluted. One of the biggest problems with bleach is that you shouldn't ever mix it with anything except water. Using bleach and just about anything else together, ammonia-based cleaning products, hydrogen peroxide, vinegar, alcohol, etc., can create chemical reactions that cause health problems like respiratory issues and skin irritation or burns. Bleach should only be mixed with water, and it should always be mixed with water. A solution of, at most, 1 to 10 bleach to water is the standard recommended dilution for everything up to and including disinfecting. When used correctly and safely, bleach can be quite useful, but it's not necessary, even for disinfecting. In the United States, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, tests and labels products as sanitizing or disinfecting. So read your labels if you're looking to disinfect without using bleach. And what about convenience items like sanitizing wipes and single-use dusters and the like? No one is going to dispute that these things can be terrible for the environment, and they can get pretty expensive too. But if wipes are going to mean the difference between cleaning your house or not, wipe away and figure out how to offset the environmental impact in another way. There's already a lot of guilt wrapped up in cleaning. Don't let arguments against convenience items deter you from getting stuff done. Convenience cleaning products exist for a reason. They're convenient. They save time and effort. They don't make you a bad person. Life is full of balances and compromises, so just figure out how to balance convenience with environmental and financial responsibility. There are plenty of DIY solutions for making your own cleaning wipes and such, but it's totally okay if you don't have the energy, time, or inclination to do so. We don't all live in an ideal world of frugality and environmentalism, armed with the ability and desire to create every consumer item from scratch. So use whatever tools you have at your disposal to get the job done, and let go of the guilt. There are always going to be people who disagree with this, who think that disposable products are always bad and have no place. If you're one of those people, don't use them. Simple. If you're someone who needs to use these products, especially when you're just getting started, do what you need to do and try not to get wrapped up in guilt about it. Try, too, not to get caught up in the natural trap. The problem with terms like natural and toxic and chemical is that these days they're all essentially meaningless. Don't fool yourself. Everything is a chemical, even water. Chemical doesn't mean bad, and natural doesn't mean good. Lots of things are natural that you wouldn't want to be in extended contact with, like poison ivy and hornets and manure. And lots of natural things are also toxic, like botulism and deadly mushrooms. Be a discerning customer when it comes to your products, and also be wary of jargon and buzzwords. Don't get drawn in by something just because it's labeled natural, or pushed away because someone on the internet said that something is a toxic chemical. These terms are overused and misused to the point of being useless. They're just another way to manipulate you into consuming what someone wants to sell you. Learn to recognize these buzzwords for what they are. Ultimately nonsensical, and an attempt to elicit an emotional and financial reaction without much examination on the part of the consumer. Where to begin? Most people say their biggest problem with cleaning is that they don't know where to start. And when you're staring down a whole house mess with no end in sight, it's definitely a logical concern. It's difficult to prioritize where to start or what's most important. If you're stuck at the beginning, a good rule of thumb is to start with stuff that smells bad, or has the potential to smell bad. So garbage, dishes, and laundry then. If you're lucky enough to have a washer and dryer in your home, start a load of laundry first thing. If doing laundry requires hauling everything to the laundromat, gather all your dirty clothes and your laundry supplies together and make an appointment with yourself for a few hours to go deal with it. And then follow through. Continue by collecting all of the obvious trash and recycling that you can, and remove it from your house entirely. Then gather up dishes and put them in the sink to soak. This will make washing them later a whole lot easier. Keep in mind that laundry and dishes have 3 steps. Wash, dry, and put it away, goddammit. Once those 3 things have been taken care of, you're moving firmly from dirty to messy. And that's a big deal. If there's something in your home that causes you a disproportionate amount of stress, and yes, sometimes this thing is going to be everything, but see if one specific thing jumps out at you. This might be where you need to start, regardless of whether or not it's the worst or stinkiest or messiest. Sometimes, mentally, you just need to get the thing that's bothering you the most out of the way before you can even start to think about moving on to something else. I'm a big proponent of starting with the thing you're dreading the most. Not only do you get it done and over with right away before it has the chance to take over any more of your time and attention, but you give yourself the opportunity to feel like such a rock star when you've vanquished your housekeeping white whale. Once you've done what previously seemed impossible, everything else seems a little bit more attainable and a little less scary. Having a dreaded task hanging over your head can make everything else seem much more difficult than it actually is. So go ahead and just get it done first. Once the big, scary thing is done, the mental block that's preventing you from moving on to the next thing may very well disappear. What to do and when. Once you have the tools and supplies you need to get going, and you know where to start, now what? How, exactly, do you clean? It's one of those things that seems like it should be incredibly obvious to everyone everywhere. But if you never learned how to clean, it's like trying to read a book that everyone around you loves but is written in a language that you've never seen before. Fortunately, it's pretty straightforward, and here are a few tips that will help you begin to tackle any mess. Work from top to bottom. Floors should be the last thing you clean. Start with your largest flat surface. Clear it off and then move on to the next flat surface. Clean dry before you clean wet. For example, dust before wiping with a damp cloth, and sweep before mopping. The great thing about cleaning is that even if you do it wrong, it's rarely, if ever, a catastrophe. Even if you have absolutely no idea how to clean, as long as whatever you're cleaning ends up less dirty than when you started, you win. Sure, it is technically possible to get it wrong, but in general, as long as you stay away from scrubbing or scouring something to the point of damage, using a too harsh cleaning solution, smashing things apart, or lighting things on fire, you're probably okay. It might not be ideal, maybe it could be cleaner, but it's definitely not the end of the world if it ain't perfect. So allow yourself to make some mistakes while you're learning. The trial and error process is great because as you're learning, things are getting clean. Win-win! Once you learn how to clean stuff, The next thing to tackle is how often to clean different things. An easy cheat to remember is that things that are unusable after one use or so need to be cleaned as they're used. So that means dishes, some clothes, and litter boxes. Cats tend to have stricter standards for clean than most humans. What you use every day should be cleaned at least weekly. The shower, the toilet, and the sheets fall into that category. For just about everything else, monthly or as needed is usually fine. Remember that the intervals that work for you and your life may not match up with what other lists and schedules are telling you. When you're first getting started, err on the side of more often, and then scale back and adjust as needed. For example, if you wear a uniform to work, laundry once a week may not cut it. You might need to wash clothes every 2 days. Don't get too wrapped up in how often someone else, even me, tells you to clean things. Come up with a plan that works for you, and then stick with it. A critical part of figuring out when to do things is realizing that cleaning is a continuous cycle. You're going to clean everything, and it's going to look great and beautiful. But then you're going to continue living your life, and it's going to get messed up again. This doesn't mean you're a failure. It's just what happens. There is no one alive who is such a great housekeeper that they only have to clean things once ever. In fact, the measure of success of someone's housekeeping ability is probably that they manage to do things at exactly the right intervals. Because, say it with me, nothing stays clean forever. You use your home, so it gets messy and dirty and needs to be cleaned again. It can be incredibly discouraging to see all of your hard work come undone just from regular life happening. But don't get too down on yourself about it. There's no way to avoid it, and it happens to all of us. The best you can do is to clean often enough that the mess doesn't get too terrible before it's time to reset to clean again. Small spaces. So,
That was the beginning of chapter 9, and I will cut that off right there, and I'll have to hit back a little bit. But anywho, thank you for stopping by here at Silky Feather's Nest. Please be kind to one another. Life is way too short. This is Silky, signing off. Hit that like and subscribe.